Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it's about -2 today. Last night was -15. That was cold. Today, I'd like to do something I've never done before. Never in public, anyway. Today we're going to be looking at something metaphysical rather than wilderness-based. Today I'm going to be talking about NDEs, near-death experiences, and life before birth. I have two memories, very, very brief memories, of life before I was born. And like I said, I've never talked about this before in public. So it's actually quite difficult to talk about because it's quite a controversial topic. And what I remember doesn't fit in with religious teachings, the main religious teachings around the world. And it also doesn't fit in with the general consensus of near-death experiences. Right, first of all, near-death experiences. I've always had a big fascination with them. And I've been lucky enough to know people personally, including family members, who've experienced them. I do find it fascinating, though, that most people's near-death experience closely matches their own culture or religion. Even those who say they are atheist or agnostic still tend to experience the religion from the culture in which they were raised or which their parents celebrate. Generally speaking, the near-death experience involves leaving the body in some form of astral projection, then entering some sort of white light or white tunnel and emerging in some paradise surrounded by loved ones, and then meeting some renowned figure from religious literature, experiencing a life review, and then being told they have to return because they haven't done something yet, or they need to share the experience with everybody else on Earth. This does seem to follow a general trend. There are exceptions. Strangely enough, there is actually a quite high percentage of NDEs where the deceased individual experiences hell, a dark NDE. But this isn't often spoken about. My own personal experience didn't happen because I was clinically dead. It's actually in the form of two short, very, very short memories from before I was born. And I've had these memories since I was very small. Now, these two short memories I have, I've only ever encountered on 3 or 4 occasions whilst researching NDEs and past life regressions. I've only ever encountered a couple of times where other people have remembered similar situations. And trust me, that really makes you go, whoa. There's a famous medium called Dolores Cannon, and there are a few things she's mentioned which lead me to believe she's a good un. She knows what she's talking about. Now remember, this is all subjective. But there are a few things she's stated about death and the afterlife that ring true for me personally. Now, the main difference between my pre-birth memory and the standard NDE is I don't remember a world of peace and harmony and happiness and family and friends in some sort of idyllic heaven-like landscape. I don't remember that at all. The first of my memories is literally just like a view. And what it was is I'm lying, I presume, dying, and around me are several creatures which I can only describe as looking something like bandicoots. Now, I knew they were sentient, but maybe not too much. They were like semi-sentient. Now, what I don't know is if I was one of them, or they had just congregated around my dying form, because I couldn't see my physical self. I could only see what's around me. Well, one thing I do know is that wasn't Earth. Wherever that was, and whatever they were, that wasn't Earth. And that was the first of my memories before birth. Which sort of suggests that souls on Earth don't necessarily just come from Earth. And I don't believe they do. I believe souls go wherever. There's often an argument used against reincarnation that today there are approximately 7 billion people on this planet. Yet 100 years ago there were 2.5 billion. How can they be reincarnated souls if there are more now than there was prior? One of the arguments for this, which I believe is quite accepted in this field, is that souls come from all over. Secondly, our dimension, our material, physical dimension, which has some form of linear time continuity, is not the same as other dimensions which may not have a linear time continuity. So when we lose our material physical self, it's possible we can be born again 10,000 years ago or 10,000 years into the future, because we are only seeing from our material perspective three-dimensional reality or four-dimensional reality, this continuity. Yet the soul, which has relinquished the physical self, is not restricted to this time continuum, nor is it restricted to the space continuum, nor is it restricted to this specific dimension. My second memory, which is probably for me the most important, I remember being in a viewing room. Now, the main difference between what I remember and what the general NDE experiences is the NDE is normally some beautiful landscape, whereas mine was a lot more technological. To put it bluntly, it could have been on a spaceship, because through the window or on the screen, I can't remember what it was, I could see Earth. There was a man next to me. I presume it was a man. And this is another difference with NDEs. I don't remember a feeling of peace and comfort and harmony. At best, it was a neutral feeling, an unemotional feeling. And the purpose of me looking at Earth through this viewfinder was this man was basically telling me or asking me to choose certain aspects of my life on Earth. But it wasn't a happy questioning. It was more like, you're going to Earth, select your program, your sequence, and then move on. The feeling I got is, before you're born, you get to choose certain aspects of what you will experience on Earth, or you will get to choose certain scenarios, negative and positive, and these form the basis of your experience here. What you do as an individual comes down to free will. How you react to these situations, because once you're born, you have no memory of choosing them. You don't know what's coming. You have no precognition. So what you do and how you react to these situations that you basically selected from most likely a list given to you, is what your experience will be on Earth. Now, one of the questions is if we voluntarily choose to come to Earth, or as certain esoteric beliefs suggest, we are sent here as a punishment to learn a lesson. That we are here to basically overcome negative and base thoughts and actions, and ultimately, reach Dharma. But these sequences, these events, many people would say you would never choose them. For example, getting cancer, the death of a loved one, a bad car accident. You would never choose that. Why would you? That would be insane. But what you have to understand is this pre-life choice, it's taken objectively. There is no personal connection yet to these experiences. And life on Earth is something like, it's like a computer game that you're actively partaking in. When you play a computer game, you want to test yourself. You start off at a basic level and slowly you learn, you grow, you develop, and you get better and better until by the end of the game you're basically godlike. And life on Earth as a human is very similar. There are certain things you have to face and go through, and everybody's experience is slightly different. Not completely different, but slightly different. Your starting position is also something which I believe is based on like a point system. You have points you can allocate to decide when you were born, in which time period, as what you were born, as male or female, to whom you're born, who are your parents, what do they do, how much money do they have, do they love you, which country, many, many things. What is your physical shape? Are you attractive for that time period? Are you strong? Are you weak? Are you deformed? Are you, mentally incompetent? All these aspects, these are chosen before you were born. And some of them you choose based on this point system, and some are required to, so that you can experience certain events. Earth, human life on Earth, is all about this Gnostic experience. It's about experiential learning. But there are lots of questions which I still haven't fathomed the answer to. Whether we actually want to be here, or we are sent here, we are imprisoned here. Some people can go through life and think life is perfect and super and the world is great. Other people can live through hell their entire life and suffer horrifically. a lot of this is preordained, predestined, and a lot of it is through personal choice, personal perspective. There are so many factors we as humans can't really understand. But from my memory, we choose a lot of what we experience. Now, where this place was, this viewing chamber, I have ideas. Like I said, it could have been in a spaceship. Wherever it was, it's outside of Earth, looking in. A good candidate is the moon. Or it's another dimension with a portal which faces our own, which borders our own. And we pass from there to here. But that's the two experiences I remember. But one thing I did come away with from the second memory, because the first memory doesn't really help me in the slightest, but the second memory about choosing life before you're born in some sort of technological setting, is that life is for experiencing. We only have a very short period in this form. We have 70 years. And the world is getting smaller and smaller because of globalization, but there is still so much to experience. You know, theoretically every day you can wake up and be a completely different person. You can move to a different country, start a new profession, you know. You can marry another person, you can live like a monk in a cave. It's up to you. But you only have 70 years to do this. In fact, you have less, because as a child you're restricted by what your parents decide, and as you get older you're less and less physically capable of making big leaps. So you have maybe 40 years, 50, where you can really, really experience the world. I experience everything. Because I think that's what it's about. I really do. As always, be free.